Hi there, this is Steve Spurrier. You can join University of Florida Hall of Famer Shane Matthews and also the two-time SEC Player of the Year every weekday as he brings you all you need to know about the Florida Gators, including news, analysis, opinions, and some of the biggest names in sports. You can find him on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, or wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts. Or you can watch him live at 8 a.m. on Facebook, YouTube, or Twitter.
Good morning. It's a live edition of PodUp with Matthews in the morning from the Crime Prevention Security System Studios. Large enough to serve you, small enough to care. We have our college football analyst and Heisman Trophy voter Brent Beaird here in just a second. Then we'll have JC, the second portion of today's program. Hope everybody had a great Christmas. And we're back in action now. But let's go to the Titan MR hotline, courtesy of Comfort Temp. And it's Brent Beaird. Good morning, Brent. How you doing, buddy?
Well, Shane, doing okay. We've got a big day of bowl games, and a lot of them involving SEC teams. So, I thought of you about this. Texas A&M kicking off tonight, Shane, around 10:30. So I thought, well, Shane won't be up for much of that, I'm guessing.
Well, I'm still on Central Time, so it's only 9:30. So
yeah, okay, that's a good point.
I may catch the first quarter. Brent, before we jump into some of these bowl games and the playoff games, give us a portal update.
Portal update is there are like almost 6,000 players in the portal right now. About 500 to 700 of them will be given an extra year of eligibility. That's almost 7,000 players, frankly, which is mind-boggling. Now, there are some dates that people need to remember. The December college football portal is going to close in about 48 hours on Saturday. But that's just the final deadline for players to submit paperwork. Compliance departments have 48 hours to enter names in the college football's free agency. Let's call it what it is. So Saturday is kind of the first deadline, and because teams play in the playoff, they're going to have a few extra days. I won't go into all of that, but safe to say, Shane, the transfer portal, the windows start closing on Saturday, but it's going to be a week or so really before the entire thing's closed again.
Yeah, it's just amazing how many kids are in the portal and are going to be stuck in the portal when it's all said and done. That's what's somewhat sad. All right, Brent, we're as you mentioned, we got some bowl games today. We'll talk about those briefly, but let's go to the playoff games that are going to be played. I guess one will be New Year's Eve, the rest of them on New Year's Day. It's quite interesting how it all panned out, how the like Georgia's got to play Notre Dame.
Yeah.
It's just they're going to have to figure out. Don't you think they just need to reseed them once they put the 12 teams in?
Yes, exactly. Look, there's no way in the world you need to have two of your bigger television draws, Oregon and Ohio State, playing in the quarterfinals. That's a lunacy, frankly. But yes, no doubt about it. They heard a little bit about they may get rid of the buys. That would probably be a good idea too. But I mean, the amazing thing is, it's one thing to have Boise State in, but for Boise State to be as high enough to get a bye, those are things they just need to rethink, retweak. They don't need to start over and throw everything out, but there's some things like Shane said. You really need to reseed this thing after round one. Yes.
Yeah, I just wish they would have reseeded it when they picked the 12 teams. In my opinion, there's no reason Arizona State and Boise shouldn't have been playing the first game.
Yeah,
I mean, it's crazy. Brent, any of the games today stand out to you?
Interesting games today. I mean, you know, who has Oklahoma got left as they play at noon against Navy? Maybe one of the more intriguing games is Georgia Tech and Vanderbilt in the Birmingham Bowl, because that's two teams who really want to be there. Now, again, how much will Diego Pavia play? But if he can walk, he'll play. No doubt about that. Arkansas plays Texas Tech, and what could be a pretty high-scoring affair. You've got Syracuse, Washington State at 8 on Fox, and then the last game is USC and Texas A&M. That would be a good feather in their cap if A&M could win this game with Marcel Reed and them go out with a little bit of motivation. But as we say every year, Shane, a lot of this depends on who is motivated to play and how bad the attrition is on the football team.
Yeah, I'm anxious to see. I don't know what to expect from Oklahoma. I don't even know who's playing quarterback for them. I know Jackson Arnold, their quarterback last year, is now at Auburn. They signed the top quarterback in the transfer portal from Washington State, but also the offensive coordinator from Washington State is going to be at Oklahoma. I don't know if he's calling plays for the bowl game or just staying on the sideline or watching or whatever, but it'd be interesting to see what happens there. The Gators, let's talk about the Gators. Kind of sputtered around in the first half due to turnovers. Manhandled Tulane. Tulane was a bad football team. I should say they were a bad football team. The quarterback play was, I stated last week, he was the worst college quarterback I've seen in all my years of watching college football, Brent.
Yeah,
and it's amazing. He was a five-star that signed with Oregon initially. I'm sure whoever signed him apparently got fired because I don't know what they saw in this kid.
Really?
I don't like to talk bad about kids, but he was the worst quarterback I've ever seen.
Yeah.
But it was a good win. Gators didn't play everybody. Shamar James, linebacker, has now designated he will go to the NFL draft. Did that surprise you?
Maybe a little bit, but still they've got a good linebacker crew. Miles Graham, Aaron Childs, Jaden Robinson, Grayson Howard, Ty Jackson, and Miles Johnson. And you may know a little bit more about who's coming and going there, but that's a pretty good group that comes back. Now, I've seen some numbers as far as what they think the scholarships will be in 2025, 37 freshmen, 17 sophomores, 12 juniors, 18 seniors, but you still got a lot, don't you, Shane, in the underclassmen where you've really got some numbers there, and that's going to be one of the real strengths of this football team. I mean, the Dallas Wilson coming in at wide receiver, previously signed with Oregon. They've got this edge rusher from UMass, whose name we'll be able to pronounce sometime in the near future. Deshaun Purdy is a pretty good quarterback. He's not going to be the quarterback, but they needed somebody in the room. And Cameron Kosman. So look, between a top 10 recruiting class and also with what they've done in the transfer, they've done some really good work.
Yeah, they have. There's no question about that. We got a couple of things here about the Gators I want to get to. First, John on YouTube, brought to you by Quality Plumbing. So, Shane, you remember playing in Birmingham? What a dump of a state. Well, Legion Field's an old place. Somebody was asking about the Birmingham Bowl. I believe they do not play the Birmingham Bowl in Legion Field. It played at UAB Stadium, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, yes.
Yeah. We got a lot of people here talking about Billy still needs to hire an offensive coordinator. They're giving me the stats, Barone 71. Look, again, I don't know how else to say this to people. I do not think they're going to have our offensive coordinator. If they do, I don't know who they're going to hire because, again, that coach is going to want to bring in multiple coaches that know his system. Okay? That may upset some other players at other positions that they may jump ship. There's a lot more into it than just calling up somebody and say, hey, you want to be my offensive coordinator? Brent, what's your thoughts on this? Do you think the Gators are an offensive coordinator?
I mean, look, you explained it well with that. Look, Shane, there are times I think they need a special teams coordinator more than they need a offensive coordinator with some of the things that are still going on with special teams, frankly. So, but yeah, that's good. That's going to be a very interesting decision. I mean, my thing as far as a coach getting offensive coordinator is just to take something off your shoulders and let somebody else take care of that where you're being the CEO. And that's one of the things I think we're seeing more now with coaches is the demands are so difficult for roster management. I know you've got staff to be able to handle that, but I can see that when they bring one in.
Yeah, if they bring one in or not, I don't know if they will or not. I don't worry about it. I don't think any of y'all should worry about it, fans out there. There's nothing you can do about it. And here's the thing. We don't even know what's going to happen past next year, right?
No.
There was only a vote of confidence for next year for this staff.
Mm-hmm.
And again, to convince a guy to come coach and call plays for 1 year, and he will get a multi-year deal, obviously, if that were to happen.
Yes.
But it could be one and done. We don't know. I would not worry about it. There's nothing you can do about it. People keep talking about he has too much on his plate. It affects his game to coach it. Maybe it does. Maybe it doesn't. We don't. I see other coaches do it every week. So I don't worry about it. I think the fans need to quit worrying about it. Daryl's question is, Ron Roberts going to be back as DC or is his contract up? I don't know. I mean, there were rumors that he would not be back. I don't know if that's going to happen or not. Have you heard anything, Brent?
Well, I mean, I'll say this. I haven't heard that he's not going to be back. And look, to me, maybe the most improved part of that team was certainly the defense. I mean, the job that they did, Shane, from like early mid-October into the end of the season, I thought was phenomenal as far as where that defense was during that time. But no, I have not heard that he won't be back. But again, we don't know yet.
Florida Victorious, proud NL partner of the Florida Gators, joined today to help make Florida victorious. Barone says, Barone is really into this. He says, based on that logic, QB, no team would ever change DCs or OCs. That's not true, because I hear what you're saying. He says the stats stink and Napier's offense doesn't pass the eye test either. Okay, Barone, again, let me just go back to this. Billy Napier was hired to be the coach at the University of Florida because of what he did at Louisiana, right? It's not they just took a shot on a guy. They saw what he did there. He ran the offense there. Whether you like the offense or not, I'm telling you my personal opinion, nothing's going to change. That's my opinion. Tomorrow he may hire an offense coordinator. I don't know. But there's no reason to keep worrying about it. You won the last 4 games of the season that people thought we were going to go 3-9 this year. Okay. They won 8 games. Is everything going to look great? No. Let's use the Georgia Bulldogs, for example. Do people like Mike Bobo as their offensive coordinator? There's some that do because he played at Georgia. Then there's Georgia fans that want him fired. Kirby's going to do what Kirby wants to do. Billy Napier's going to do what Billy Napier wants to do. I don't know how else to put it. That's simple. There's nothing we can do as fans. And again, I can promise you, if they do hire an offensive coordinator, everybody's going to be complaining about something regardless. That's just the nature of the game. All right, Brent, the ratings for these playoffs. I know the 2 games on ESPN had high ratings.
Yeah.
The 2 on TNT. I wonder if a lot of people didn't even know the damn games were on TNT. Or some people may not even get TNT.
And you're correct on both. A lot of people don't know how to find it, and they also, or maybe just not have it with their package. I mean, the ratings on ESPN were good. I mean, Ohio State, Tennessee had 14 million. Notre Dame, Indiana had 13 million. Now the TNT games, Clemson, Texas had 8 million. Look, that's still a good number. It certainly is not what the ESPN games had. Penn State SMU had 6.4. Now the Penn State game obviously was out of reach early on, but still, one of the ways ESPN wanted to make money is to outsource some of the games to TNT and TBS. What I have heard is in 2026, they're going to outsource more games. So you kind of have your cake and eat it too by being able to show games on your main networks. You outsource them, get some money from the other station, and whatever deal that they've got with that. Also, but Shane, no, that's a very good point. I mean, listen, we normally don't look at TNT and TBS until the college basketball tournament, so that's what made it different in some ways.
Yeah, Mark says on YouTube, brought to you by Quality Plumbing, the change in defense when Roberts started calling defense plays. Well, he started calling defense plays at the beginning of the year. We just got better after the bye week. And Barone said, that's fine. We can all have different opinions. Look, Barone, I'm with you. I would love for us to be much better on offense, but I'm a realist and I understand what's going to happen. And again, I can't tell you how many people complained about the Tulane game on here. We had 540 something yards of offense. Really? Did we play great? No. If DJ doesn't throw 2 interceptions in the end zone, the game's blown out in the first half.
Yeah, it is.
I just be happy that you won your last 4 games, people. Please. It's y'all are worrying about things that you can't control. Joseph says on Facebook Live, brought to you by Meloff, we start next year like we did this year. Billy will be fired by game 3. A lot of pressure on Billy this upcoming season. Agree with that. I do agree with that. And then Andy wants to know why were all the ESPN personalities doing the TNT games? Do you have any idea on that, Brent?
Well, I think probably because they had some kind of deal that their personnel would still continue to do the games. I mean, they certainly know college football too, and I'm not saying that TNT and TBS doesn't have some guys who couldn't do the games, but I think that's a deal that they had, that their guys would, regardless of the network, they would still do the games.
Yeah, Franklin says, isn't Callaway the OC? I am very confident that Russ Callaway called the entire Gasparilla Bowl. I'm pretty confident to say that. All right, Brent, there's some changes. Well, first of all, before we get to that, how about Dion taking out some, I don't know if he did or the school did it, the disability insurance for some of his players in their Alamo Bowl?
Yeah, this has kind of been going on, frankly, for years. Now, there may be a little bit some differences in the policies than what we've had, but this is not something that's never happened before. I mean, it's really a good idea for, in particularly guys who are draftable, that they're going to take some insurance out on them. So I think because Dion said they did it, it made it look like it's something new, when in reality, and you probably remember a little bit of this yourself. But
I had an insurance policy.
Yeah, that's what I mean. So it's not a new thing, then, is it, Shane?
No, again, like I said, I don't know much about it. I don't know if they're saying they took a new policy out. Maybe these kids didn't even have a policy, and they said, okay, we're going to take a policy out for the bowl game. But, I mean, I played in the 90 through 92, and we had insurance policies 30-something years ago. So
sure.
It's not something new, but I'm just curious if they just did it for a bowl game. I don't even know if that's allowed. Okay, these JUCO rules are just bizarre to me.
They are. The NCAA has granted a waiver giving JUCO athletes an extra year of eligibility in 25, meaning next year, of course, if they have exhausted their eligibility in 24. Where some of this came from was Diego Pavia wanted to play another year at Vanderbilt, and he sued the NCAA, and they allowed it. So, look, there's still a lot of eligibility issues here, and there's a deadline here for, I think it's 2019, that's involved with this. But this is going to give players an extra year. So one of the coaches made an interesting point that the other day. He said, we're heading to a time where we're going to have players, and it's not just the BYUs of the world that are on mission trips for 2 years, but Shane, we may be in a situation in 5 to 10 years to where we've got players playing college football who are routinely, 27, 28, 29 years old?
Yeah, it's crazy to me to think that. All right, Brent, Alabama, they're going to play Michigan in a bowl game. They've lost a lot of kids to the portal. Are you surprised at that?
No, that they've lost about 15, and most of them were like a lot of teams, they're reserves. Now, there's still some decisions that need to be made. Now, Caden Proctor, one of their offensive linemen, is having shoulder surgery, but he should be fine for the spring. What we think is going to happen with Jalen Milroe is he will make an announcement after the bowl game that he is going to the NFL. Now, I have heard, and again, that this may be more rumor than anything, that the NFL, that he thinks they're going to give him an incredible contract that a dual threat quarterback would get. So we'll wait on that. But at this point, that's what I'm hearing is, and I'm curious if you're hearing the same thing, that he probably will go into the NFL. They did get a big commitment from Isaiah Horton from Miami, who is their number 2 receiver behind Xavier Restapro. So, and Shane, listen, half this Michigan team is either hurt and out for the game, or have transferred out or gone to the NFL. So this sounds amazing, but there was a Michigan beat writer that wrote for one of the Alabama websites, and they asked him, could you give us a score? And he said, I think it'll be Alabama 40, Michigan 10. They've lost that many players. I thought that was amazing.
That's fun. Yeah, no doubt about it. Brent, did you see how much money reportedly that the kid that
from Duke?
That's going to Duke from Tulane is getting?
Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
$4 million a year.
Yeah. Right.
I've watched him play a bunch. He ain't worth $4 million.
No. I mean, it's a unique kind of a deal. But I'm with you. I think just about everybody's response when they saw that, they couldn't believe it. That this is a guy that, he's a decent quarterback, but they've structured a deal for him that basically is $4 million a year, which is mind-boggling.
This text on the Take No More text line from Leroy in Palm Coast says, I watched Monday's show and tell the fans to be happy with winning. We're never going to look like the fun and gun in the 90s under Napier. He's going to call a few timeouts a game due to time management. That's just who he is. He's not going to give up play calling. I guarantee you, though, and I've said this multiple times, if you go back to the 90s, we scored a lot of points, but we also did some stuff that people question or would be questioning if there were talk shows today. That's just football.
True.
It's football. Brent, the Auburn Tigers, they've had quarterback issues, but they've got a pretty solid room according to the rankings or whatever. Yes. It's like the highest rated ever or something like that.
Well, of course, we just started the portal recently, but they've gotten, good results from, and they've signed a lot of guys. One of the biggest ones, Georgia Tech transfer, Eric Singleton, who's a wide receiver, who is really impressive for Tech. Now, they have lost some guys. Keontae Scott is a cornerback who has entered the transfer portal. So they're not keeping all of them. But I think they're very pleased with who they've gotten so far, and obviously they got, as Shane mentioned a few minutes ago, they've also got the Oklahoma quarterback to go along with that too. Now they've got a really good quarterback coming in from the high school ranks that originally committed to Notre Dame. Now he's going to Auburn. So yes, Auburn's done a lot to help themselves.
Yeah, the kid, the quarterback, the high school kid, I think he was, I don't know if he's the top dual threat guy in America, but I think he's from the state of Mississippi. Really good player. Ole Miss thought they were going to get him the last minute, but they didn't. South Carolina's going to play Illinois in their bowl game, Brent, and Lenore Sellers got him about $3 million.
He did. Yeah, he structured a deal with them, 2.7 million. So so good for him. And look, he's an upcoming guy. A lot of people like him. He improved a good bit as the season went along. They also got a freshman quarterback. This is a great name. Quarterback Air Nolan has committed to South Carolina too. He'll have 4 years of eligibility. So Shane, I'll tell you, particularly if South Carolina beats Illinois, I would say easily Florida and South Carolina are two of the SEC teams that had the most momentum going into the off season.
Yeah, I agree with that. Brent, give us a few nuggets before we get you out of here.
Well, unfortunately, Tennessee really struggled in their loss to Ohio State. Ohio State played the best game they'd played the entire year. Tennessee's losing some of their guys, Gaston Moore at quarterback, Christian Harrison at defensive back. They are into the portal. Part of the problem with Tennessee was their main guys were hurt. Dylan Sampson had 2 carries. He had a hamstring. Shane and I have talked about Dylan Sampson most of the year. One of the best, if not the best, running back in the league. But he was too hurt to play. Deontay Thompson, Squirrel White, they were very limited, so that really hurt them. Texas and Arizona State, obviously, in the Peach Bowl. Texas has its problems. Look, these Texas fans are screaming, and they're in the playoff, Shane. But you've got Quinn Ewers, who's kind of been up and down. When they run the ball, they are one of the better teams in the nation. But sometimes they do and sometimes they don't, and that's a problem. Arizona State's going to be interesting. That may be a pretty good matchup, but I'm with you. I still say Texas ahead of them, and Arizona State should not have got a bye. A&M and USC, we mentioned they played late tonight. This is a game probably would help Lincoln Riley if he could win to get a little heat off of him. TJ Searcy, as we mentioned, has committed to Texas A&M. Vandy and Georgia Tech, if people didn't hear, they play today. That's going to be probably one of the better bowl games because both teams really want to be there. We mentioned Oklahoma a couple of times. Danny Stutzman, their linebacker, who had 109 tackles, is also moving on. Also, Oklahoma's got a commitment from Cole Gonzalez, who is from Western Carolina. Missouri is playing Iowa, and I think people have just absolutely forgotten about that. Missouri can get to 10 wins if they're able to win the game. Ole Miss is here in the Gator Bowl in a pretty good game. I think Jackson Dart's going to play. There's a little bit iffy about that, but if he does, that would make a real difference too. LSU is playing Baylor. Baylor won his last 6 games under Dave Aranda. They thought he would be fired at some point. That's going to be interesting. Harold Perkins, by the way, their linebacker, is coming back. Dane Key, wide receiver, Kentucky, he is committed to Nebraska. So he is leaving. That's a real loss. as far as they are concerned. And again, I think most folks have heard this, but Gunnar Stockton will be starting at quarterback for Georgia the rest of the season because Carson Beck is now out for the season. He did have surgery this week. And it will be, Shane, it's going to be interesting to see what Beck does, frankly, after this injury heals, and kind of where that would be. I mean, he could come back, so that's going to be very interesting to see. So, going to be a fun weekend, Shane, of bowl games with the SEC and the ACC, and then we go straight to the playoffs for New Year's Eve and New Year's Day. So it would kind of be like an old-fashioned New Year's Day with the bigger bowls being played on that day.
Yep, should be a lot of fun. Brent, we appreciate your time. Happy New Year to you and your family, and we will talk to you later next week.
Yep, can't wait, bud. Take care.
That's Brent Beaird. Join us on the Titan Number Hotline, courtesy of Comfort Temp. Take a quick time out. Come back. We'll be joined by JC. You're watching and listening to PodUp Matthews in the morning from the Crime Prevention Security System Studios. We'll be right back.
Our premium sponsors are Campus USA Credit Union, Crime Prevention Security System, Titan MRI, Meldon Law, QC Kinetics, Dave & Buster's, UF Health Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute, JF Hayden Craft Liqueurs, Bishop's Pitmaster Barbecue, Florida Cracker Kitchen, Los Linderos Tequila. Gridiron sponsors are Baker Sporting Goods, Cogent Bank, Comfort Temp, Electronics World, Florida Victorious, Gallo Car Wash, Miapa Latin Cafe, Peachland Dental, Quality Plumbing, Ruse Ogre State Farm, Silverback Concrete, 84 Lumber, Big Mills Cheesesteak, Celebrate Primary Care, Dowling Signs, Gator Bait Media, Gator Dominoes, Ironwood Golf Course, Okido America, Tropical Smoothie Cafe, UF Bookstores, Nest and Wow, MG&A Wealth Management. Watch and listen to us live on Facebook and YouTube. Listen to the podcast whenever on Apple or Google Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen to your favorite podcast. Remember to like, follow, and subscribe so you don't miss an episode. To become a sponsor, call my man Freddie at 352-284-3733.
Unleash the Inferno.
With time running out, the head ball coach, Steve Spurrier, shares a play to score the perfect last-minute Christmas gift.
Spurrier's Gridiron gift cards are on sale for 20% off between December 17 and December 24. You can go to spurriers.com and order a digital card or stop by my restaurant in Celebration Point and pick some up today. Use the code GC20 and get 20% off. That's right, 20% off gift cards with code GC20.
Welcome back to the Crime Prevention Security System Studios, large enough to serve you, small enough to care. Florida Cracker is a brand for original Floridians. Great food and southern hospitality in the center of the universe, Brooksville, Florida, floridacracker.com. Let's go to the Titan Number Hotline, courtesy of Comfort Tent. We're joined by JC now. What's up, JC?
Yeah, hey, man, what are we going to do about that offensive coordinator, man? When are we going to get a new offensive coordinator, Shane? Come on.
I really don't care if or when or if it happens.
QB, why does that irritate you so much, QB? I just got to know.
Because here's the thing. Why should anybody care? There's nothing. They have no control.
They like Gator football.
Like, again, the only thing you can do as a Gator fan is buy your tickets and give money to the NIL. That's all you can do.
That's all you can do.
There's nothing else you can do, right?
Yes, that's right. Can't hire anybody.
I want to give a shout out real quick to our former Gator basketball player, Dan Cross. His yearly tournament in Gainesville, the Florida Get Down Gainesville Showcase, is December 27th and 28th at Santa Fe College Gym. Tons of high school basketball teams will be there both days. We just put a little blurb up on our deal, but Dan does a tremendous job in these showcases for these high school teams.
Okay.
All right, JC, what do you want to talk about today? Anything exciting going on?
Well, QB, as a Gator fan, I was saying on Monday before Christmas that you should really have a lot of joy in your heart during the holiday season due to the wonderful things that have happened to the football team in the last month and a half. And, of course, the basketball team are just winning everything that they play. And I've got a little stat for you, QB, that there are 4 teams. Actually, let's just say this. What school do you think has had and enjoyed the most time, meaning in days of the month, most days since their last football and or basketball loss? Okay. Just throw a school out there. Yeah. What school has had
give
the
me
longest?
Give me the question. Explain it a little bit better.
Wake up, QB. It's 7:30 over there. What school has had the longest time or the most days since their last football or basketball loss? What school?
Well, that would be the Florida Gators.
It would. And do you know that we are talking about 48 days? 48 days. Number 2 is Duke at 31, and then Colorado and UConn are at 30. But the Gator sports teams, football and basketball, the 2 biggest, 48 days since a loss. How about them apples? So we've got multiple bowl games coming up today. There are 5 bowl games today. The spreads are tight except one. And then we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 bowl games tomorrow. It's a bowl bonanza. And we've got NFL football on Saturday, NFL football on Sunday. Huge game in the NFL. NFC North Division tomorrow. It's the last game of the day, so you'll have time to get all your things done before you'll want to tune into Green Bay and Minnesota. That's going to be a big one for both of those teams still trying to position themselves. The Vikings still have a chance to be the number 1 seed in the NFC. The game is in Minnesota, but the Packers can beat you anywhere. They're playing great football, maybe one of the hottest teams in the NFL. The Kansas City Chiefs are just getting better, not worse. I don't know if there's any question right now that the AFC has got the overwhelming favorite to win the Super Bowl. Would you consider the 3 teams that have, in my opinion, the 3 highest candidates or best candidates for MVP at their quarterback position? And I'm talking about Lamar, Josh, and Patrick Mahomes. And then, of course, you have Barkley at Philadelphia. But the AFC clearly has to be the favorite to win the Super Bowl. With those 3 guys, you have to have a quarterback to win the Super Bowl. Now, Jackson hasn't been good in the playoffs, but the other 2 could definitely take over a game. And Lamar's having a great year. He's got stats to win the MVP again. It would be his 3rd time. So I don't know, man. There's a lot to think about as we go forward. If you're going to be gambling on Hard Rock, you've got there's so much you could do on the Hard Rock and just gamble your life away and just have a great time watching football this weekend, basketball. This is a great time of year, QB. I love this week between Christmas and New Year's.
Yeah, a lot of stuff going on. We'll get to our Peachland Dental picks. We'll pick some games this weekend here in just a second. JC, do you have any thoughts on Jim Larinaga stepping down at Miami?
Well, I think it's got there's 2 factors, his age and the fact that they stink right now and they're losing a lot of games.
Well, the biggest thing is after they went to the Final Four, his entire team left to take NIL deals elsewhere.
Right.
I don't blame him one bit, especially at his age. Tony Bennett did the same thing. He's a young guy. He stepped down at Virginia because of NIL.
Yeah.
I think you'll see a lot more. I think coaches that have made money, a lot of money, that are, established, they can kind of just retire or whatever. I think you're going to see a lot of them walk away until they get this under control, because it is total nonsense, out of control right now.
It's college sports.
I don't know how to put it.
College sports. It's college.
Terrible.
Yeah.
It's absolutely terrible.
Well, then why doesn't anybody do anything about it, QB? I mean, nobody's doing anything about it.
Well, because there's not a governing body that's in charge.
Well,
nobody's in charge.
Well, you've got lawyers too, and lawyers are a pain in the neck if you're going against a lawyer. You need a lawyer yourself, and the problem is these players are there's going to be lawsuits going on forever. The fact of the matter is that decision makers don't know what to do, QB. They have no idea what they're doing. There's no collective bargaining. We have no employment, no unionization, none of that, and yet we're still paying these kids like they're professionals. So you explain to me how that structure works. It's got to come from the top down. And the presidents have to get in charge of this.
They need a commissioner.
Well, yeah, and who's going to appoint that? The presidents of the schools have to appoint a commissioner, right? Congress isn't going to do it. Congress couldn't care less. And I don't blame Congress. I don't want my tax dollars figuring this problem out. These guys have too much money involved in this sport, in both sports, actually, college athletics, to be able to do this themselves. We don't need Congress. I don't want Congress wasting time on this deal. We got enough to worry about. So I think it's got to come from the top down. These big shots, they're just sitting on their hands. They have no idea what they want to do. They have no idea. Zero.
Yeah. All right, we got a couple of Facebook Lives brought to you by Mellon Law. Joseph says, if we do hire an OC, all it's going to do is increase buyouts that very well could be getting paid next year. Let's just ride the Napier roller coaster out at this point. And Reggie says, not only that, but then Lagway has to learn new terminology. Exactly. When he could just be refining his understanding of the offense he's currently running and work more on reading defenses. Bingo. Bingo. Okay. JC, let's do this right here.
Yeah.
Since time flies, let's get to our Peachland Dental, Gator Nation's '1 choice for dentistry in Port Charlotte surrounding areas.
All
Go
right.
visit them at peachlanddental.com. Let's pick some games.
Well, there's there's 5 bowl games today. So we're going to go with the first game at noon. It is in the Oklahoma Sooners. And before I get to these bowl games, I have to say one more thing, QB, that I think is pertinent to the college football playoffs. And that is, of course, we're going to wait until December 31st for the next playoff game. And then we have the New Year's Day games. There's 3 of them. So just know this, folks. And I understand how the first weekend went. You had all the home favorites win and easily win and cover. But according to ESPN research, this is Heather Dinich, 60% of college football games over the past decade, 10 years, were decided by at least 3 touchdowns, and 20 of the 30 games were decided by double digits. And these were basically blue blood beatdowns, kind of like what we saw on in the first round of the college football playoffs last week. So that's kind of expected.
It's what we see. It's what you see in college football week in and week out. And you've seen it in national championship games multiple times. You've seen it in Super Bowls. You've seen it in NFL playoffs. I don't understand why people are so upset about it.
I guess because they want the committees to pick better matchups. I don't know. Maybe that's why.
But JC.
No, I'm just
gave
saying
you
why.
the stats last year on the National Football League, right?
Yeah.
They have the average margin of victory in their first round playoffs are like 15 points.
Yeah.
Super Bowls are blowouts. I mean, whatever.
Yeah, we'll have better games. I think, in these quarterfinals upcoming. Then, of course, the semifinals and the finals. All right, so we start today with Big Bowl Bonanza and an NFL. NFL's tomorrow, I should say. The first game would be your Armed Forces Bowl. That's Navy and Oklahoma, and Oklahoma is laying 2.5 points in that game. I think I'm going to go with Navy simply because I don't think Oklahoma has a functioning offense, and I don't know how many players. These games are very difficult to handicap because you don't know who's playing and who's not unless you really dig deep into it, and it's hard to sometimes get that information unless you really work hard, and who wants to do that? So unless you are betting big money. So I'm taking Navy getting 2.5.
I'll take the Oklahoma Sooners.
Okay. Georgia Tech and Vandy. Now, this could be a good game. You're going to have both quarterbacks playing in this game, Haynes King and Diego Pavia. So this is the Birmingham Bowl in beautiful, tropical, and glorious Birmingham, Alabama. I'm sure it's going to be just beautiful and balmy there. Sunny skies. Georgia Tech -3 against Vanderbilt. Give me those jackets.
I'll take the commodes.
You really think Vandy's going to beat Georgia Tech? All right, they might.
What makes you think Georgia Tech's going to beat Vandy?
No idea. I have no idea.
Okay.
In Memphis, right down the road from Birmingham, another just beautiful town. This is a beautiful city, Memphis. We've got Texas Tech -1.5 against the Hogs of Arkansas. Not very far to drive to get to Memphis from Fayetteville and Little Rock. So their fans will be there. Not sure how many Texas Tech fans will show up. I'm going to take Texas Tech because I believe in their offense. And Arkansas, although better, I just don't believe in Arkansas. I don't trust Arkansas. So give me the Red Raiders -1.5.
Texas Tech can score, but they cannot stop JC running the football.
Yeah.
I think Arkansas wins the game.
So far, we're opposite sides. Then we go to the Las Vegas Bowl. Now, I'm going to be interested in this game. Well, actually, no. We got to go to the Holiday Bowl first. Washington State is catching 18 against Syracuse. The Holiday Bowl has traditionally been one of those games that we really like watching because it's always been exciting. I don't know how exciting an 18-point spread is. I don't know anything about Washington State or what they're capable of. I think – I don't know if they're what's going on with them. But
well, you want me to tell you why the spread's this high?
Go ahead.
Washington State's quarterback was the top quarterback in the transfer portal, who is now an Oklahoma Sooner.
Okay.
And the offensive coordinator from Washington State is now the OU offensive coordinator. So that's why
they moved to Oklahoma.
But I'll take the Cougars.
Getting the points. As will I. And then we go to the final game of the day. This is in Las Vegas, Texas A&M and Southern Cal. So this is a pretty interesting matchup, a Big Ten SEC matchup. That sounds weird. But 3.5 points is the spread with A&M laying 3.5 to Lincoln Riley, who everybody hates in Los Angeles, at least who follows Southern Cal football. And Texas A&M, who kind of had a disappointing finish. Folks are disappointed there in College Station, but they get to go to Las Vegas. So A&M is laying 3.5. What do you got?
This line makes no sense to me because, USC is playing a different quarterback. Their kid transferred to – where did he transfer to? Oh, he transferred to Louisville, which I think he's going to be outstanding there. I'll take the Aggies, but I would not surprise me if USC doesn't win this game.
I'm taking Texas A&M. I don't think USC really could care less. All right, then tomorrow we got a rack of games. This is 8 quick ones. We can blow through them here. UConn in the Fenway Bowl in Boston is catching 2.5 against North Carolina. No idea who's available at North Carolina. Just not sure about any of these rosters. So you just kind of throwing, feather up in the wind and seeing which way it blows. I guess I'll take North Carolina. I have no idea what UConn's capable of, so I'll take the.
It's been a good basketball game 20 years ago. Yeah, but I will take the Tar Heels.
Okay, Pinstripe Bowl down the road in the Bronx, Yankee Stadium, Boston College getting 4 against Nebraska. I'll take Boston College getting 4 against Nebraska.
I'll take the Cornhuskers just to be different.
Okay, for some reason now states are sponsoring football games. So the state of New Mexico has thrown their hat in the ring here, and they are hosting a team from Louisiana and a team from Texas. You got the Raging Cajuns catching 11.5 against Sunny Dykes and the Horned Frogs. So it's Louisiana plus 11.5 to TCU. I think I'm still going to take TCU to beat them by the spread in the New Mexico Bowl.
I'll take the Raging Cajuns.
Okay, you got them. And then, of course, the state right next to New Mexico to the west is which state, QB?
Say that one more time. I'm reading some other stuff here.
Okay. What state is west of New Mexico, QB?
West of New Mexico, Arizona.
That is right. You get your geography blue ribbon of the day. Well done. You actually listened in class. The Arizona Bowl is featuring the Miami of Ohio team. They're laying 2.5 to Colorado State. Who do you like? I'll take Colorado State.
Jeez. I'll take the other team, whoever it was. I can't even. I'm reading so many different things here.
Well, I mean, I can wait for you to finish reading what you're reading, and I'll just wait until you're done.
Well, we don't have enough time. I have to read. People are sending questions and comments, and seeing if I want to read them or not.
But we're doing the Peachland Dental Picks time. You want to read questions? You want to do picks? You tell me what you want to do. Tell me what you want to do.
I didn't know we were going to pick. I didn't know we were going to pick all these silly games.
Well, the silly games.
I'm ready for some NFL.
Okay, you want me to skip the rest of these? I can skip them.
Yes, if they're silly.
Well, Iowa State, Miami is a good game. Who do you like in that one?
Okay, well, yeah, you should have just picked that one. Who gives a damn about Louisiana and TCU?
I don't know. Louisiana and TCU fans. Iowa State 3.5. Well, Iowa State laying is catching 3.5 against Miami.
I'm going to take the Cyclones.
Oh, Okay. I think I'm going to stick with Cam Ward and those boys, but I'm wearing an Iowa State hat right now, so it makes no sense that I would do that, but I guess I'm doing it to go against your pick. All right. And then in the NFL tomorrow, I mean, these are real thrillers here, QB. I'm sure you're really up for the Chargers-Patriots at 1 o'clock. The Chargers are laying 4.5.
That's it?
Yeah. It's at New England. New England could have beat Buffalo last week. I don't know.
No, give me the Patriots. Something's weird.
Okay, and then we're going to go to the Bengals and Broncos. That game's in Cincinnati. That's 3.5. The Cincinnati Bengals there.
I'll take the Bengals.
Okay, I think they're still alive. I can't really tell if they're still alive. I don't know. And then, Bengals are still alive. Okay, and then we're going to wrap it up on NFL Saturday with my Rams. Laying 6.5 to the Cardinals. The Rams win this game, and I think they go to play Seattle next week for the division, but it's a strength of win tiebreaker. I saw that on Amazon last night because my son logged into Amazon. I was able to watch the god-awful Chicago Bears and the Seahawks play a 6-3 game. The Bears are literally legally stealing money from their fans. They should rebate and give back every single dollar that was spent on that game. Here's what the Bears need to do. They need to hire an offensive coach that knows what he's doing. Yeah. Because they have so many good skill guys. They're ruining
really good skill guys.
They're killing. Caleb Williams looked so frustrated, bad, and awful last night that I mean, they're ruining him in front of our very eyes right now. They're killing his confidence.
Well, they won't ruin him. They won't ruin him after this year because all those guys are getting fired.
Yes, that's true. But do you trust that they're going to hire anybody that's worth a damn? They're the team that brought in Matt Eberflus.
Well, they have a legit quarterback and they have legit wide receivers and a running back. They just need somebody that knows how to call plays.
Yeah, they're awful. But the Rams are laying 6.5 to Arizona.
No, I like the Rams. The Rams.
Rams, it is. So there is some of your picks. We skipped the Military Bowl, Alamo Bowl, and Independence Bowl. Okay, let's get to those text messages you got there. Go ahead, QB.
Well, we're out of time, JC.
Okay.
Mike did say, though, he says the pro games are rigged. Do you think that, JC?
No, I don't think that.
I don't think that either. I was in the locker room for 14 years. They ain't rigged. Trust me. They're not rigged at all.
They're scripted games.
I will say this. The Kansas City Chiefs are just amazing. You know, I gave that stat last week, JC. Since last Christmas Day when they lost to the Raiders, they were 19-1, had not scored over 30 points. Well, they're 20-1 now and still haven't scored over because they scored 29 the other day.
Yeah, it's an incredible organization, but I think they're actually getting better as they get healthier. They've got home field advantage throughout. They're going to have Carson Wentz playing next week, so a lot of the guys are going to get an extra week of rest. They're going to have 2 weeks off. The starters, many of them, not all, but many, and they're going to have the playoffs will go through Kansas City once again in the AFC. I can't believe how efficient Andy Reid and that staff is. Spagnuolo on defense. They won the other day without Chris Jones, best defensive lineman in the league. And they had no problems, zero issues yesterday winning that game. They are the gold standard right now in the NFL, no question.
Well, there's no question. That's why I think I said several years ago. I feel like he'll go to more Super Bowls than Brady will if he stays healthy.
Yeah, well, it's trending that way. That is correct. Yeah. But you got to love the AFC teams of Baltimore, Buffalo, and Kansas City just because of the quarterbacks that they have available to them. I don't know what Hurts' problem is in Philly. He's got a concussion. I don't know about Packers. They're very good. I think they're playing great. Maybe the best in the NFC is Green Bay right now. I don't know. I like Green Bay, though.
Yep. Very explosive team. JC, good stuff as always. We'll see you on Monday, my friend.
You bet. Okay.
That's JC. Join us on the Titan MR Hotline courtesy of Comfort Tent. Rose-Ogre State Farm, also a team of dedicated insurance professionals ready to help life go right. The right insurance options for you and your family. Visit ogreinsurance.com. Give them a call at 352-240-1779. Appreciate everybody joining us today. Hope you had a great week. We'll be back in action next week starting on Monday. Have a great weekend. Take care.